Hello pen lovers and stationery enthusiasts, it's Christy here, Snarky Wordsworth over on Instagram and Reddit, and today I have my August currently inked for everybody out there. So I'm in a bit of a seasonal transition phase. You're going to see a few summer colors along with a few fall colors, and of course as September rolls in, we're definitely going to move way into fall, my favorite season of the year, so I'm very excited for that. But if you do happen to have any questions about any of the inks or any of the pens that you see today, there are 10 of them, please feel free to comment below and I will get back to you as soon as I possibly can. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump in to the currently inked. Okay, my first pen and ink combo of the day is going to be my Esterbrook Estie in Cola, and this guy is inked up with Pennonia's Chestnut. There's also another name associated with it, but I cannot pronounce it to save my life, so rather than butcher this poor language, I will just put it in the description. This is probably one of my favorite pens with my absolute favorite nib. This is the Journaler. And I just think this ink looks so good with this pen. I go back and forth between this and Fortaleza a lot, but I think this one is a phenomenal fall color. You can see it's got this beautiful red undertone, and I just think it's so lovely. Because Fortaleza is definitely more of an orangey brown, and I think this one has some really nice warmer reddish hues that just sort of, for me, definitely feel even more fall than the Fortaleza. So yeah, if you're looking for more of a reddish burnt kind of color brown, this one's a really good one. This is just a LAMY Vista with an extra fine nib, and I have this guy inked up with Vinta Inks Lakbay. Now, I really like this one as sort of a summer color because it's got like some really great sort of sea-like blues, but it's got this beautiful pink shimmer in it too. I love it. It is a little bit dry, but it still works in my LAMY Extra Fine because LAMY nibs do seem, at least to me, to run a little bit broad, even for a Western nib. So I've not had any troubles with this particular shimmer ink in it. It's not hard started on me. It's been really reliable. So that combination definitely works for me. Okay, next, this is the TWSBI Vacuum Mini, or the TWSBI Vac Mini, I guess. And I have this loaded up with Diamine's Ancient Copper. I have some mixed feelings about the Vac Mini. I do enjoy writing with it. I think it's a fun pen. I do think that the whole Vac action is really fun to watch, but I don't find myself drawn to this particular pen all that often. I really love my Diamond Minis. I really enjoy my Eco. I don't know if it's the nib. This one's just a standard fine. I honestly couldn't tell you. It's just, of all of my TWSBIs, I grab for this the least, but I do think that the oranges look so cool in demonstrator pens. I just really like the way they sort of pop. I have always liked the way that Diamine Ancient Copper looks. It's a nice, juicy ink, works well in extra fines, fines, really anything I've thrown it into. And there's just like a really good warm tone to it that I love. I never get a ton of shading with it, so if you're looking for like a super shading orange ink, this might not be it, but I think it looks phenomenal for fall. Okay, next one. This is my stainless steel LAMY 2000. I love this pen. It is definitely a heavy guy, but writes really, really beautifully. And I have this one inked up with Herbin's Vert Gris, just a really beautiful sort of bluish, greeny, grayish tone that I use all the time, whether I'm just journaling or if I'm at work. It doesn't, again, have that much shading, but it's just a really lovely color across the page. You can see I've got my Pilot Decimo in the pink champagne, and this time I have it filled up with Pilot Iroshizuku's Yama Budo. I usually go for like a deeper sort of pink or purple, but this time I don't know, I really like Yama Budo. Very, very wet ink, but it always works very well in this particular pen. The nib on this one isn't extra fine, but because the ink is so wet, it just has a really nice, really juicy flow. So here we go. Go. And because it's so fine, you don't get all of the really awesome Yama Budo characteristics that you do in a broader nib, like that gorgeous, gorgeous sheen that it gets with sort of the goldy green. But I do just love the base color that it has, so I'm always happy to put it in whatever pen. And again, this one works really well in my extra fine Decimo, even though I have plenty of inks that are just way too dry for the pen. This one never fails to work really, really beautifully. Okay, next. This is my Sailor Pro Gear Slim Mini in Ayur Gray. This pen is so stinking cute. I love it. And I have this one inked up with a Sailor Shikiori cartridge in the Rikyucha, I want to say. I really do love, love, love this combination. Okay, this really is such a good greenish brownish fall color. I think it's got such good character to it, even in a Sailor medium fine nib, which is a very fine nib, even though it's supposed to be medium fine. I really just love the way the ink looks any which way, and I just think it's beautiful in this particular combo. Okay, next one. This is another Sailor. This is the Sailor Shikiori Dragon Palace, and it is beautiful. It's this sort of jade mint colored resin with little gold sparkles. I hate that it doesn't pick it up as well as it should. You can see little flecks of gold, but it really is such a lovely sparkly thing in real life. And much like a small child or tiny woodland creature, as I always say, I'm very attracted to shiny things, and this pen just hits perfectly. Now I have this filled in with Sailor Yurameku's Kyokuya, I want to say. I think it is anyway, which is a gorgeous sort of greenish brown again, but this one is one of their chroma shaders. Because the nib is so fine, you don't see a huge amount of chroma shading, if any, in this particular ink, but I still love the way that base looks on the page. So here we go. Okay, I don't know if you could tell, but this is a very, very, very dry ink. I would definitely not recommend it in one of my Sailor Extra Fines because I think it's too dry for it. I had put it in one of mine or one of my fines earlier, and I wasn't thrilled with the performance, but at a medium fine, it does a-okay. When you're laying down a ton of ink, it takes a little bit of work, but for just regular writing, it's a-okay. But yeah, definitely, I don't know that I would go further down than a medium fine in the Sailor brand just because it is such a dry ink. Okay, this one is yet another Sailor pen. This is the 1911 Light. It's one of my newer acquisitions, and I am still trying to figure out where it fits in my rotation. This is definitely not a pen I use for journaling, but I do really like it in work meetings where I'm just quickly jotting things down. It's got an extra fine nib, which, while I really love a really fine line, I think for me this is almost too much. Really does lay down an excellent, excellent clean line, but it feels almost a little too feedbacky for my taste. I do have this one inked up with a Sailor cartridge, and this is the Fujisugata, a really pretty purple color, and I think it works really, really well with the shining blue 1911. Okay, I really do like this shade of purple, but I don't know that I would use it in this particular extra fine pen again. I think I need a really, really wet ink. I'll probably look to my Pilot Iroshizuku's when I have to fill this guy, just because I just feel like it's a little too fine of a nib for this particular ink. I don't even necessarily think this ink is overwhelmingly dry. I think it's just too dry for this nib. So take that as you will. I do think it's a beautiful color, so please don't discount Fujisugata when you're trying to look through purples and decide if you like it. It is really, really a lovely shade. I just think maybe not for this particular pen. Okay, two more to go. This is another newer acquisition for me. This is the Pilot Custom 472 in a SU nib. I am obsessed with this pen. I have been using it nonstop. I really should probably try a new ink in it, but I love the way this one flows with it so well that I don't know that I can force myself to swap out. Right now, it's got Pilot Iroshizuku's Fuyu Syogun in it. It's a beautiful wet ink. I'd seen some people having some troubles with the SU nib, but I have had zero issues with this particular combination, and I think this nib makes this ink look so beautiful. I might swap it for Kirisama when I'm done with this one, but I definitely am going to use another Pilot Iroshizuku, but I'm still waffling a little bit more. So we'll see how I feel when I get to the end of this particular ink. I seriously just love this ink so much. It just looks so good. And I love the way that SU nib writes. I really do. I love that variation. I love the way it feels when it goes across the page. There is a good amount of feedback. So if you hate feedback, this is probably not the pen for you, but it's quickly become one of my favorites. Right up there with my Esterbrook Estie and the Journaler nib. There are a couple pen combos that I absolutely love and I feel like are my ride or dies, and this is very much a part of that little circle. Okay, final pen today. This is my Pilot Vanishing Point in the matte black, and I have it with a stub nib, and this one is just so much fun to write with, no matter what ink I put in. Right now, I have Pilot Iroshizuku's Yake because, as I mentioned before, I'm in a bit of a transitioning into fall time, and this one, it works really well for both summer and I think early fall. So I'm really enjoying writing with this whenever I can. Just look at that orange. It's just so sunny and bright and fun, and it has a ton of really good shading in it. Once it dries, you'll be able to see a little bit more, but I'm really loving this particular nib with that color. I'm not sure what I'll swap out for when I run out of the Yuyake, but I definitely can feel myself leaning in towards another orange or reddish orange or what have you, because these are really just so much fun to write with. I had never been a orange or red ink fan. It was just not my jam. And then a couple of months ago, I started really looking at different shops' inventories, and I found myself really drawn to those reds and oranges for once, and there's just no going back. So yeah. Anyway, these are my August currently inks. I'll do one last little close-up so you can see all of them. So, if this video has been interesting, helpful, useful to you in any particular way, please do consider hitting that like button or potentially even the subscribe. If you have made it this far, you are absolutely awesome. Thank you so much for watching. As always, I love putting these together, and I really, really do appreciate having people watch the videos. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to put them down in the comments. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. With that, I'm going to go ahead and close out the episode. Again, thanks so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.